it's
normal?
white people in South Africa.
Really?
Yeah.
And what's your nationality? Are you
South
European?
African.
What? You look like Europe.
I'm not from Europe. I'm from South Africa.
And your parents?
South African.
Man.
Hey beautiful people, how you're doing today? It's again Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I want to ask, do you think white South Africans can classify themselves as Africans? I know this is a very controversial discussion to have. So today's video, we're going to get people's reaction, share our opinion on, do we think the white South Africans are Africans, like if they are truly Africans. What brought me to do this video was I saw a white South African. This girl was talking and she was crying how no, they don't want, like she's fighting so hard to defend that she's a South African and people keep telling her that she's not. I need you guys to see this video and then we'll talk.
So I'm coming home now in less than a month, and there's nothing that's making me more excited than being back in South Africa. And this year has really, I've grown out of my phase of wanting to leave South Africa. You know, when I was younger, I always was like, I'm going to leave South Africa. And now that I'm old enough to realize that, like, saying those things comes from a place of real privilege, like to sit and be like, I want to leave, you know, just to be able to get up and leave when the shit hits the fan. And now that I have lived a year in another country, like in America, is when you realize, like, every country has its shit. And it's just so frustrating for me I was born in South Africa. I was raised in South Africa. This is the first year I've ever lived anywhere else other than South Africa. And I kind of find myself constantly having to, like, fight for my right to call myself South African. And obviously I'm white, as lots of people love to point out. But that's how colonization works, right? People colonize South Africa and here I am. But it's just so irritating to me, the fact that I like have to point out I was born in 2001. I had nothing to do with the apartheid. It's not my fault. And, like, I want to look at comments like this and say, like, I understand where you're coming from, but obviously I don't understand where you're coming from. And as much as I try, I'll never fully understand the magnitude of the apartheid, even though, like, I understand it, you know. I have never faced any negative effects from the apartheid directly, but it's like, you know, like, why do I have to fight for my right to call myself South African? Like, obviously I'm European. I have never lived in Europe. If you put me anywhere in Europe, I would feel so far from home. The only place I've ever called home is, like, this year more than ever. Like, people, like, constantly test me, like, and I just don't understand it. Like, I just don't understand why I have to sit here and constantly fight for the right to call myself South African when that is my home and I've always lived there, and all my family lives there, all the people that I love. You know, my whole life is in South Africa. My childhood home, my primary school, all my teachers, all my friends, all my families. I've, like, all my blood, sweat and tears is in South Africa, and it's just like, now I move out of the country and I'm constantly making videos about how much I miss home, and then I get these stupid fucking comments from Americans and South Africans, stupid stuff like this, and you're not African, and I'm like, yes I am South African. And, like, I don't know why I'm getting so frustrated. I don't know why I have to be put to the test about this. Anyways, into a dramatic story, I am South African.
People were like, you are not South African. Some people are like, oh, you're South African. It's where the heart is where you call home, that is home. And I'm like, really? I don't know. I have my reservation. So these are people's reaction to the question, are white South Africans really Africans? Can they consider themselves as South Africans, as Africans?
I don't know why people are arguing and being like, they're African. How are they African? Because they live there? And the thing is, like, it's not just because they're white. It's the fact that how they got there. How did they become African? How did they get there? Why did they come there? Because you really have some, like, white South Africans trying to tell African Americans in America that they are more African than them. Just because you're Dutch grandfather was someone who had slaves. Cause your fucking German great grandma wanted to come and see what it feel like to live in Africa. Waka.
So this is like what I was talking about on my TikTok story, right? When we want to bring up discussions about like whether people are from places or not, we always have to remember the discussion of the difference between ethnicity and nationality. Because there's a very, very large difference between ethnicity and nationality. Take me, for example, right? I was born and raised in the United States. I'm from the US. My nationality is American. Ethnically, I am Cameroonian. Same goes for white South Africans, right? For South Africans. Nationality-wise, you guys can be South African all day, all night, whatever. But ethnically, you guys are from like Great Britain, the Netherlands, Germany, all these different countries that colonized South Africa. And this goes to all over the world. This has to happen, where we need to recognize these things, the differences between ethnicity and nationality. And that's all I'm going.
So I get a lot of comments from white Africans saying, I'm white and I'm African. And it's like, cool, I take no issue with that. And if you're one of the people who doesn't understand the nuances between race, nationality, ancestry, citizenship, etc., you can just Google those things. Now, the first thing you have to understand about me is I'm not in the business of telling people who they are and aren't. It's not my portion. And I'd be lying if I said I cared. But there's something incredibly disturbing about this comment for me. And firstly, you have to understand that the majority of the African population is indigenous to this land, unlike in the Americas and in Australia. And there are so many reasons why this comment doesn't sit right with me. But the main reason is I don't know what you referring to yourself as being as African as it gets means. What does that mean? I'm African and I'm indigenous to this continent, and I don't even refer to myself as being as African as it gets. All my fellow Africans. I mean, it's not a definition that I use, but if I ever were to use it, wouldn't I use it on the millions of Africans who've been here since literally the dawn of humanity? Or better yet, the Africans who never conformed to European or Middle Eastern religion, lifestyle, and languages. Wouldn't they be as African as it gets? So when you, an African of European descent, refer to yourself as being as African as it gets, given the history of how you came to be African in the first place, comes across as incredibly bizarre to me. Because it's almost as if you're conveniently erasing the history, culture, and experiences of an entire group of people just to feel more secure in your identity. And that just generally doesn't make sense to me. You can be African, but to say you're as African as it gets. En tout cas, my ancestors, I don't know, I don't know.
Before I share my thought, I want to share one more video before I share my thought, because that video just actually make my thoughts, like my opinion on this matter, make kind of sense. So check out this video.
Hey guys, let's talk about this beautiful piece of land that you see on the screen there, on the screen. This is Orania. Orania is a little town in the Orange River, Northern Cape vibes in South Africa. That is a white-only town. No blacks allowed. You can't own rent there, you can't reside there, you can't do business there. Oranians have their own currency. Yes, they have their own money, but that's not all. They have their own flag, this little flag with a white boy, strange things, but this is the flag that they use to represent Orania. It has been reported by the media that they have statues all over Orania that celebrates apartheid government leaders, because they do not believe in this freedom that was given and a united and rainbow nation. Why and how is Orania legal? The constitution was never amended when the ANC government took over. So the constitution protects landowners in this sense. When you own property, you can do whatever you want in there as long as it's legal. So the constitution protects landowners. So this is their land. They can determine who enters and who doesn't enter. They can determine who they work with and who they don't work with. So the constitution really supports this type of behavior, and that is something that needs to really be looked at. This is why sometimes I get Julius Malima's land must be owned by the state, because majority of South African land is owned by white people, and such is happening. Who founded Orania? Orania was founded by Karel Boshoff, who is the son-in-law of Hendrik Verwoerd. If you've done history, you know who Hendrik Verwoerd is. If you haven't and you live in Venda, you know the Hendrik Verwoerd bridge there, or tunnel. So he founded it in 1990, just when they were releasing Nelson Mandela. Nelson is not a hero to them. Their argument is that they're not a racist state. Their argument is that they're not a racist state, and that everyone is welcome to visit, but what they're trying to do is preserve their language and their culture and their people, which is the Dutch and some of German heritage people who speak Afrikaner. They say that they consider themselves Africans, hence they're called Afrikaners, and that they're also protecting themselves from white English people or other white Portuguese who are whiter than them. But I'm certain a white English-speaking person can feel safer in Orania than me. I don't particularly care for people that think less of me because of my skin color, but the constitution really has to be amended for such things, because really it's unheard of, uncalled for, and absolutely ridiculous.
My thought is, they, in terms of nationality, they can say, which I will get to, they can say they are South Africans, but in terms of ethnicity, they are not Africans, they are European. Let's not miss it, they are European. Why I would say their nationality is like this for me is because that video you saw of how a South African woman was explaining how there is still a whole country or a whole area in South Africa that is dedicated to, that white people are still like holding on to. And if we all know, a lot of white people own lands in South Africa, and most of these lands were stolen. So this is not something that you say, oh, it's many, many years ago. We are living the reality. And I feel like seeing the white South Africans exist among the blacks and claiming African, not South, claiming to be African. For me, I understand how it will offend the South Africans, because you guys came to raid us and you guys refused to go back home. You guys enslaved our forefathers. Your forefathers stole the land you're living in. That land you're living in belongs to my forefather that your forefathers stole. So I understand that pain, and I feel like it's still a trauma that they're existing and they're living with all their life, because they're just like, I know some South Africa are like, oh, we've moved past it and all that. But for me, like, I can't imagine staying in that kind of place. Like, I just keep, especially when maybe I know the history, and to say, okay, this is us, this is where we were, and these same people, they still feel higher than us, they still feel like they have supreme powers, they are better than us, they are in my own land, in my own country. Like, it's really, for me, like, I'm like, but we all know that you can actually get nationality from anywhere. That's why I say, okay, they can call themselves, in terms of nationality, South Africans, but in terms of ethnicity, they should not call themselves Africans. They are not Africans, they are Europeans that have the nationality of a South African. And for me, that is it. Anyway, guys, share your thoughts about this down in the comment section. We're allowed to disagree, but do it respectfully. Share your thoughts. It's welcome. We're here for a discussion and being informed. And just talk. That's what we do here on this channel, okay? So go ahead and drop your thoughts down in the comment section. Give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And join the membership. I didn't tell you, join the membership if you want to support your girl. Okay, go ahead and click the membership join button. Okay, just click the join button under subscribe. Okay, then you'll be part of the exclusive VIP members. Anyway, guys, that's about it for this video. I will see you guys in my next video. Deuces.